A big WWE Departure behind the scenes? The real reason SmackDown just got awesome? An AEW Botch and more. I'm Ollie Davis, and this is the WrestleTalk News.
Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. The ending to the 17th of June episode of Raw was one of the most exciting since WrestleMania 40, featuring the long-teased debut of the Wyatt Six faction, instantly becoming one of the most talked about wrestling angles of the year. And that same show had already seen the return of Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre saying he quits, and the breakup of Alpha Academy. Well, SmackDown saw that episode and said, "Hold my head writer, because we're parting ways with him." Fightful Select is reporting Ryan Callahan, the Blue Brand's head writer, has parted ways with WWE. There's no details on why. After several seasons producing The Bachelor, Callahan joined WWE in 2014, where he worked his way up to a lead writer position on the Raw brand, but he was reportedly fired from that position in 2019 because of backstage clashes with other creative team member Dave Kapoor, with Kapoor apparently claiming Callahan took changes too personally, was difficult to work with, and didn't set a good example for the writing team. Callahan was then made the lead writer for SmackDown in June 2020, several months into the pandemic, where he was later promoted to Vice President of SmackDown in February 2023. The former writer Brittany Abrahams named him in a lawsuit last year, along with Vince and Stephanie McMahon and other members of the creative team, accusing the company of racial discrimination and releasing her after she objected to multiple instances of offensively racist and stereotypical jargon used in WWE scripts. One specific example in the suit related to Callahan directly, where he allegedly pitched a story that would have had Mansoor as being behind the 9/11 attacks. The lawsuit was voluntarily dismissed without prejudice last August, which in legal terms is only a temporary dismissal, and could mean her legal team is going to refile their claims or a private settlement discussion is underway. WWE is replacing Callahan in the lead SmackDown writer role with longtime creative team member John Swakata, who is said to be a well-liked member of staff. And he started at 11 with the Friday 21st episode from Chicago, which saw Drew McIntyre beat CM Punk to a bloody pulp, and the main roster debut of the latest New Blood member, Jacob Fatu. Fatu is the real-life cousin of Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, and the Usos, and he's actually been signed by WWE since April. So why did it take 2 months for him to debut? WrestleVotes reported in early May that some trepidation remains within creative over fear that Fatu's presence could outshine Solo at this stage. But Fightful now writes the reason could also be because of Fatu's previous criminal convictions. Fatu was arrested for robbery when he was 18 years old, where he ended up spending time in jail, which is reportedly a primary reason why WWE's previous regime never hired him. Fatu has actually credited his time in prison watching his cousins, the Usos, on TV as his inspiration for becoming a wrestler. As a consequence of his criminal record, though, he has never wrestled outside of the United States, where it's harder for those with convictions to get work visas. Fightful corroborated this with sources in Fatu's previous promotion, MLW, who said his criminal record prevented him from accepting bookings outside the US. Fightful point towards the run of international shows WWE has had since WrestleMania as an obstacle for debuting Fatu, with May's Backlash and King of the Ring happening in France and Saudi Arabia respectively, and June's Clash at the Castle staged in Scotland. So thankfully Fatu has debuted just in time for the next PLE Money in the Bank in 2 weeks' time from Toronto, Canada. While the Usos, who have several DUIs to their names, have previously had issues gaining entry to Canada, that was reportedly sorted as of last year's Elimination Chamber. But even if Fatu can't make it to Money in the Bank, he'll be alright for Cleveland. The Wrestling Observer newsletter is reporting Cody Rhodes vs Solo Sikoa is planned for August 3rd SummerSlam in Cleveland, Ohio, along with Logan Paul vs LA Knight. WWE is hoping they'll also be able to have CM Punk vs Drew McIntyre, but Punk's status is still up in the air, as he wasn't able to announce he's medically cleared on Friday's SmackDown. A Cody match at a pay-per-view? You better believe he's getting a body part worked over. After Fatu attacked Rhodes at the end of SmackDown, hitting a splash off the top turnbuckle on Cody through the commentary desk outside, Rhodes has now announced at a house show over the weekend in Illinois that he's broken 2 of his ribs, which is likely a work, but given how intense Fatu is, I don't know. But I think that's it. I think all the people related to Roman Reigns have now debuted in WWE as part of the bloodline. Even the Tongan branch. I guess no more debuts for a while. Just one more thing. Following Fatu's debut, Zilla Fatu, the son of Umaga and therefore Jacob, Roman and the Usos' cousin, has posted on Instagram, "See you soon." For more on how all wrestlers from Samoa are related, apart from Samoa Joe, watch our Bloodline Family Tree Explained video, links in the video description below. It seems there's a Bloodline in, Braxton out policy on SmackDown though, as the same day that saw Fatu debut, longtime backstage interviewer Kayla Braxton announced she'll be leaving WWE. After nearly 8 years holding the microphone on WWE television, I am setting it down to pursue my next chapter. Next week at the world's most famous arena, I will be officially signing off. I am extremely thankful to Triple H, Nick Khan, WWE, and all of its partners for allowing me to be a trusted voice on WWE television for all these years. Thank you to every single person who made me feel like this was my home and that I was part of this family. Thank you for taking a chance on me and welcoming this outsider with open arms. I hope I make you proud, and I'd love if you stay with me for this next chapter. I'm excited to reveal to all of you what I have coming up next. It seems this is a case of Braxton wanting to move on to the next stage in her career, as she mentions that since moving to Los Angeles, she's been offered new opportunities. But Wrestling Observer Radio are reporting that Kayla might have seen the handwriting on the wall, as the promotion is now leaning towards interviewers like Kathy Kelly, and it's speculated she could turn up in AEW. Now here's a message from Turbo Jack.
Well, yeah, Turbo Jack flew to Scotland like you said. Yeah, Paul blanked me again. What's an 80s wrestler got to do to get booked in today's day and age? Start a podcast, you say? Oh, hi there! I'm 80s wrestler Turbo Jack, here to promote patreon.com/WrestleTalk, which you should sign up for now to get loads of exclusive content, like a special episode of the hit wrestling game show Survival Series. And to get a shout out from Turbo Jack on the news. So thank you, the roller coaster Robert Acosta, the Magic Man Barry Blaine, Ask Him, Deontay Shura, the Cleaner, Kanisha, Nathan the Street Racing Prophet Ford, the British Bulldog Philip Boy J. Smith Jr. He can last Sean Fur longer than you in the ring. Starbucks Stephen Costa, Shield Maiden the Zornice, and the Vindicator Finn Brennan. Go over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk to get loads of exclusive content and your own shout out from Turbo Jack.
AEW Dynamite drew its lowest Wednesday audience ever last week, dropping over a quarter of viewers from the previous week to pull in just 502,000. The 18 to 49 demographic story was just as bad, dropping to a 0.16, which is down 30% from the previous week, even though there was no major sports competition that night. That is a 50% drop year on year for the demo, and it meant that the same week's episode of NXT trounced it in the ratings, which got 724,000 viewers and a 0.26 demo. The Wrestling Observer has described this figure as devastating. And Saturday's episode of Collision had its own embarrassment, as AEW couldn't even mask over the cracks. Ultimo Guerrero took on Okada in a Continental title eliminator match, where AEW promoted him on graphics under his masked identity. Apparently Tony Khan became a fan of Guerrero whilst watching CMLL in the noughties, where he wrestled under a mask. Unfortunately, Guerrero lost that mask to Atlantis in September 2014 and hasn't wrestled under one in the near decade since, which caused some issues when he turned up to the show without one. According to Guerrero's own Facebook post, someone in AEW had to make him a mask in an hour. While the mask received criticism for, well, looking like a mask that had been made in an hour, Guerrero put over the company worker who made it in such a quick turnaround time. According to Lucha Blog though, the mask wasn't suitable to wrestle in, so several planned spots had to be cut from the match as it might have caused the mask to fall off his head. This was all building to the final spot where Okada hit the Rainmaker and pulled the mask off. For this video's final story, one of the most important people in wrestling history passed away on Friday, and he wasn't even anything to do with wrestling. Variety has reported that Jamie Kellner died at his home in California, aged 77 last Friday. He's a heavyweight figure in television, where he helped to launch both the Fox and WB networks, but in wrestling, he will forever be remembered as the man who cancelled WCW on Turner. Following the AOL Time Warner merger, Kellner became the head of Turner Broadcasting in 2001, where he was not only responsible for cancelling all of my favourite cartoons, Pinky and the Brain, Animaniacs, Freakazoid, and the Batman animated series. His very first decision was to cancel WCW programming on TBS and TNT. With now no TV slots to broadcast on, WCW's prospective buyers Fusient Media pulled out, paving the way for the WWF left to buy WCW for a minuscule amount. But Kellner was far from being the only cause. Watch our full Who Really Killed WCW documentary by clicking the video on the left.